This time on Custom Works, we're going to be making fiberglass look like metal. Let's get to the workshop. Okay then, so this time on Custom Works, we're going to be looking, do you remember that front bumper? I did it like quite a few times, not even on camera. It is a nightmare. And I've not been able to get the chrome effect to sort of work on that at all. But this time, I'm tackling it. So everything's prepared. I'm going to try and make that bumper look like chrome. And then, if that works, and it's such a massive if, I'm going to try and do the entire roof of the Meat Wagon, all the way down the back bumper, everything. This is a frightening prospect, because I'm going to have to paint it flat and mop it until it's like super shiny, then go over it, you know, at every single stage. This is a massive area, it's huge. And it's all got to go right, or else I'll have to sand it all off and start again. And that is a nightmare. So yes, I'm nervous. Yes, there is trepidation. Yes, things might really go badly wrong, but hey, that's Custom Works. Let's get to the workshop, which I'm already in, but it's actually through there in the other workshop. So let's do it. Okay then, so looking at this bumper again and trying to get that chrome paint working. Remember last time it went disastrous? Well, I tried another time in between that and it all went wrong again. And I think what went wrong is, in one of the coats of paint that I put on initially, I think maybe it was too cold, not the right amount of hardener. I'm not really one for weights and measures, you know. But there was definitely a layer of paint that had sort of never gone off, and I think that's what kept sort of blistering through. So what I did with that not quite dry layer, I removed it all basically. I've took the whole thing down, 40 grit sanded it off, and then put a bar coat, 2 coats of high builder, 2K on it. Now flatted all that back, and basically I've redone it like Bondo up. So this time it's going to work. I hope. I think it might not. It's probably going to work. So today we have super shiny black that's been done for like 4.5 days. I'd normally leave it for 5 or 6, but god damn, it's been hot. It's been like seriously hot. So I'm thinking that nature has given me the low bake oven I so needed and desired. So I'm going to de-dust this, and then I'm going to go on with the chrome sort of paint. Now to de-dust this, I'm using my incredibly fancy airline that I've got, which takes the static out, because there's so much carbon in black that it really stores static. So I've got this sort of airline that breaks down static. If you haven't got it, it doesn't really matter. You can do the same thing with a bit of panel wipe and a decent sort of microfiber cloth. You'll get it off, but I'm going to blow over this with the magic airline. And then, yeah, then I'm going to dust the silver on. So let's do it. Chrome sort of effect I'm going to use is the Chromium Extreme stuff from Custom Creation Paints, and we'll see how good I can get this to come out. So I'm going to put some in the gun. There's no need to thin this stuff. It literally, it's like water. I'll put that in. That's the last bit of that one. So this is all the same stuff, just that one had run out and then I've used a bit of this. I'm not mixing anything there. And of course, attempt none of this without the mask, because that chromium stuff does really smell bad. So, mask on. Let's put some paint on. started, so that's gone on, and it looks pretty good. I think today it's actually working. I think all it was that sort of badly mixed layer of paint underneath all the paint that kept sort of tripping me up. Just goes to show, you know, with things like this sometimes you can make a mistake way back down the line and you just can't work out, just like me. But the thing is, you just got to keep going like a madman. Just keep doing it until it works, and that's what's happened here today. So thankfully I think I've got it all right, but I'm going to leave that now for about half an hour, and then I'm going to come back with a water-based clear coat just to go over that, seal it, and then after that we'll go on with the 2K clear, and it will be bulletproof forever. The thing is, with the water-based clear, it will dull it down a little bit. So what I'm seeing over there, which I really like, it ain't going to be quite that good when it's done. We've let that dry. It's a really hot day, so it's dried really quick. And I've just rubbed over the chrome super lightly with a microfiber rag, just to get any little bits of like overspray off of it, any sort of dust. And now what we're going with is, again from Custom Creation Paints, we're going with their water-based stabiliser. Now I've thinned this down just a little bit. I've thinned it down probably sort of 30-70, a little bit of water in there just to make it a bit thinner. And there it is in the gun. It's quite thin. And because this is water-based, there's no solvent in there that's gonna eat into that silver sort of finish. So once this goes on, it just sits over the silver and it protects it from that really harsh 2K clear. So we'll go over with a couple of coats of this, let that dry, and then over with the clear coat. However, this really dulls it. Like, you put this in on, you just think, oh no, the job's ruined. First it turns sort of purple, then it goes really milky, then when it does come clear, sorry, it still looks really dull. But the minute you get that clear coat on, it comes back, I was saying before, not to 100%, but it's sort of like 85-90% of how it is now. So let's get the gun set up and let's put the paint on. So that's the first coat on. I'm going to do 2, maybe 3 coats on this because I really want that barrier to be strong. I don't want any of that solvent from the 2K bleeding through, damaging that silver underneath. I did 2 more coats of that water-based clear, and then I went on with the 2K. You know, it's come out all right. Not perfect, but it's all right. It's a lot better than it was. And we can see that, you know, there's some pretty good reflection in there. And I'm pretty happy. You know, we're going to add some rust detail to this and stuff like that, and it is meant to look old. But I think when I do the roof, I think the water-based layer has got to be super fine mist and gone on really, really dry. And I'm going to try that, just see if we can get that extra bit of sparkle out of it. But for now, I'm pretty pleased with it. In fact, so pleased we can actually move on knowing that this is done. So now I'm happy with the bumper, and I think I've got like a handle on how to actually make this paint like come out okay. And also, the weather is so hot at the minute. I did think with this black paint I was going to need an oven, but it looks like Mother Nature has provided me with just that. So now all I've got to do is prep all of this roof, and then coming around the van, all of this back bit, and of course the same on the other side of the van. And that is quite a lot of square footage to actually prep. But I'll have the sander on there, get some 320 paper on there, and we should be able to get it just about good enough ready for that silver effect to be over the entire roof and all down the back of this truck. It is going to look amazing. Before all of that, and before I paint the roof, I still need to do this bit here. It's like everything's finished and then it just ends with this bit of plywood with some fibreglass on it. So what I'm going to do is make like a trim that fits on the front of this and holds the glass. I was just going to bond the glass directly to this, but I'm thinking now this would have a trim, and as I'm doing lots of chromey paint, then I might as well do it. So what I did on that front bit, I've taken a template, and then from that template I cut out a piece of dye bond, and from that piece of dye bond I cut another hole in it, and that is going to be the front, or at least that's going to be the base for what I'm going to build. What my plan is that I've got this here, and then I marked in about a 10mm rebate for the perspex to bond to. That's going in the front of it. But I need some shape, I need some volume to this, like a bull nose at the front. So I've cut these strips, and what I'm going to do is might affix those onto there, fill this with foam, and then sculpt that foam into a nice bull-nosed edge, and that is going to form that moulding on the front that I think it really needs. It just needs something proper just to finish it off so it looks factory. I often say that, but like, really, what factory? Come on, people, factory's going to make that thing. I have no idea, but factory is the way you should always be aiming to make things look, even if that factory would be a very odd place indeed. Anyway, I'm going to break out the Mitre Fix, I'm going to stick this on, and we'll get some foam going. Let's do this. There it is, we've let it dry overnight. Expanding foam's all expanded and gone off all the way through. So now it's time to start sort of cutting it down, shaving off all this sort of splurge on the back and stuff, and getting it into the shape we want the front of the van to look. So, panel saw out, let's do it. So that has made a pretty good shape. So it'd be like a piece of chrome Isaac that'd, you know, be stuck on the front of that sort of aluminium pressing. And this is where it's going to have the sign to say what the van's up to. You know what the van's up to? You know what its business is? Its business is meat. Oh yes. Right, so I'm going to cover all this in silver tape, and then I'm going to fibreglass over it all. But when I do cover it in silver tape, I'm only going to come up to like this edge. So I want the fibreglass to stick to this edge, but then silver tape there and there. And what I'll probably do is cover it and then run around here with the angle grinder. I'm just going around and going across like the edge of the stuff, and it just cuts the tape back nice and neat. So do that, and what it does, it cuts the alley tape, but also it exposes that edge for the fiberglass to stick to. And why it's at it, because there's a 40 grit disc in there, it just gives it that extra sort of mechanical key for it to lock into. Right, so that's that. Sort of to shape. I'm just going to offer it up quickly to the Meat Wagon just to make sure it's everything I ever dreamt. And then I'm going to go over this with some custom mat and some resin within about an hour or so. This will be rock hard, ready to film. So that fits really well. What it does, it just gives that little bull nose sort of edge to it, and I always think that just makes it look like it's made of a thicker material. It's sort of heavier set, which the whole vehicle is done like that. You know, the back and everything, yeah, it's just dye bond and fiberglass, so none of it is actually as heavy as it looks, but it does look super heavy, and that's because of very relaxed curves. You know, the tighter, anything like this where it's a tight edge makes it almost seem like the material's thin, but the minute it's got this sort of bulbousness to it, I think your mind imagines it's made of a thicker material, and it just gives it a heavier, more sort of 30s Art Deco feel. Right, and so got that shape nice, covered it in the foil, and now I've gone over it in just one layer, custom mat, and it's looking pretty good. What I've got to do now is just trim off all these bits, and you'll notice I've not gone round the corner, it's stuck to the edge there, and that should be good enough. What I didn't want to do is go around the corner and then make, you know, a lump on this side, and it's never nice, and it makes everything a bit uneven. But I'm going to trim this out, sand it down, get some filler on it, get it smooth. Let's do this! So I've got a bit more filler on this now, and basically all I'm going to do now, and I'm sure you've all seen this before, I'm going to sand this up, high build prime it, flat that back, paint it black, polish it up, and it will go with the Meat Wagon and be given that brilliant sort of aluminium look on it, so it looks the real deal. But that, for now, is that. Okay, so I'm prepping now and getting everything ready to paint the roof in like a mild deep gloss black, ready for that silver stuff to go on to make it look like the polished aluminium. But it did occur to me that I've got an adequate tip. It's not a top tip, it's just adequate. The floor. What I've done to the floor is I've mopped the floor, but I've put some PVA in the water. So even as it dries, it still sort of sticks all the dust together. A lot of the time you'll put water down at the start of the job and you come to go around the car again and it's, you know, if it's a hot day like today, it's almost dried up. But with the PVA, that never happens. So it's another sort of Custom Works adequate tip. You're welcome. I'm not going to lie, I was nervous about painting the roof on the Meat Wagon. You know, see, it's got to be like really shiny black for the silver to go on to give us that great aluminium look and give it that, you know, like real Airstream caravan feel. But I have painted it and now I'm flattening it back. I'm going to flat and polish all of this just so it's as shiny as it can be. And also I'm flattening and polishing it because my workshop probably wasn't as clean as could be. There's a lot of bits in it. But what I'm thinking, and with this all the way through, it isn't perfect, the roof isn't. It's not like if I'm painting a car, say like when we did the Enzyme, you know, that was like glass all over. I don't really want this to be like this. I want there to be some pitting. I want there to be some sort of interest in each panel so it looks like real aluminium and like the corrosion that might have. But what I don't want is just a load of grit where it just won't shine. So I'm going to polish it all up. Even the bits where I break through, I don't mind about that. It's all going to be shiny and that will just make patina within the aluminium finish. So lots of sanding, lots of sanding. Why is everything always lots of sanding? Everything I do, it's like this channel should just be called Lots of Sanding channel. But anyway, lots of sanding, lots of polishing, and we're going to get that brilliant sort of finish, and then we're going to get that great old polished aluminium sort of feel to it. You might think, why now? Well, last night, quite dull, but I know I'm going to get 2 or 3 mega hot days. In here's going to get hot, that's going to act like nature's bodywork, body shop, low bake oven. And it's going to get this black absolutely dry, so that when the solvent silver goes over it, it's just going to work. Not like the bumper where I tried to paint the black in the dead of winter. It never sort of dried. And you've got to have some heat to get things to go off good enough. I think I'm stating the blindingly obvious there. But now this is on. It's going to get super hot in there. I'll get it polished and then it will get super hot and it will really dry through and then I can put the silver on. Also, I'm not going to leave it to dry and then polish it, because what you can get is wet paint underneath, very dry paint. You polish this off and you're back to the paint that's only really had a couple of days. So what you're best to do is polish it first, then let it dry and then go over. And I would like to say that is not my knowledge from my mind. One of you out there said this when I was doing the bumper, so whoever that was, you probably know who you are. Even if you think it might have been you, just take that, have that. And thank you very much. Right, and so I'm going to carry on polishing this vast roof. We've definitely got some shine and reflection on here. And then I'm going to leave it for a few days in what has been delivered to me from high and above, which is a UK heatwave. Yes, which will turn this bit of the shed, the insulated tent, literally into an oven, and it will bake this ready for that silver paint, because the paint has got to be fully dry before you put the silver on, and I mean like fully cured. So thankfully the weather has given me that, so all I've got to do is get this polished, sit back, relax, and then get ready for that aluminium finish. Okay then, that's about all for this week, but I'll be back next week and we'll be doing that silvering on the whole roof. Fingers crossed everything goes okay, and then it's really going to look like an old truck and an Airstream caravan been forced together to make the Meat Wagon. I'll be back next Saturday with more silly things with cars. Until then, thank you very much and good night.